Welcome to English, Please, the podcast where we explore captivating topics in under 10 minutes in clear, intermediate English. I'm your host, Christopher. I live and work in New York City, and I'm a language enthusiast who has always been interested in the best ways to learn a new language. This is episode 21, and it's the first episode in the second season of English, Please. I'm so thankful for your support, and I'm excited to continue to provide English audio to help you on your journey to becoming fluent in English. I have lots of ideas for the second season, and I'm thrilled to get started. Let's go! There was a holiday this week here in the United States, and I'd like to talk a little bit about it for this episode. The holiday was Juneteenth, and it's an important holiday in the U.S. that commemorates the end of slavery. The word Juneteenth is a portmanteau of June and 19th. A portmanteau is a mix of two words, combining the sound and the meaning of the two words. For example, you've probably heard the term brunch. Well, that's a portmanteau of breakfast and lunch. Again, since this holiday is on June 19th, we combine June and 19th. In this episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about the history, significance, and the interesting facts and stories associated with the American Juneteenth holiday. Juneteenth celebrations often include educational events, cultural performances, and discussions about the history of slavery and its legacy. The recognition of Juneteenth highlights the universal importance of freedom and human rights. Beginning in the 1600s and continuing for over 200 years, African people were forcibly brought to North America where they had to work as slaves. And this means no pay, terrible conditions, treated like prisoners. Slaves were mainly employed in agriculture, mostly on plantations in the southern United States, where they cultivated crops like cotton, tobacco, and sugar. Plantations were similar to farms, but they used slave labor and generally grew crops to sell for profit, rather than crops to feed people. Slaves were denied basic human rights, were treated harshly, and essentially lived in captivity. The Civil War was fought from 1861 until 1865, and it was a war that defined much of American history. The war was between the northern states, called the Union, and the southern states, called the Confederacy. The main issue of the conflict was slavery. The northern states wanted to abolish or end slavery, while the southern states wanted to keep it due to its economic importance to them. It was obviously easier to make money when workers weren't paid anything and had no rights. The war ultimately resulted in over 600,000 deaths, as well as extensive destruction, particularly in the South. On January 1st, 1863, while the Civil War was still taking place, President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. Emancipation basically means freedom or liberation, and a proclamation is an official announcement or declaration. The Emancipation Proclamation declared that all slaves in the Confederate States had to be set free. However, the proclamation had limitations. It only applied to states that were fighting against the North, and not the small number of states along the border between the North and South that supported the North, but also allowed slavery. Strange, right? In addition, the North still had to win the war in order to enforce the proclamation and free the slaves in the Confederate States. The Civil War ended in April 1865 when General Robert E. Lee from the South surrendered to General Ulysses S. Grant from the North in the state of Virginia. This marked the end of the Confederacy and was a big step towards the end of slavery. However, as you can imagine, communication in the 19th century was quite slow and quite difficult, and it took time for the news that the war was over and that slaves were now free to reach all parts of the United States at that time, especially the remote areas. The last place to receive the news of the end of slavery was Galveston, Texas. On June 19th, 1865, General Gordon Granger from the North arrived in Galveston with 2,000 soldiers. He was there to take control of the state and to enforce the emancipation of slaves. General Granger read a document that announced the freedom of all slaves in Texas. This historic day became known as Juneteenth. In the years after 1865, African Americans in Texas and in other states began to observe this historic day. Early Juneteenth celebrations included community events such as barbecues, music, and educational activities. They honored their heritage, reflected on their struggles, and promoted unity and progress within their communities. Today, Juneteenth is celebrated across the United States with a variety of events and activities. These include parades, festivals, concerts, and cultural exhibitions that celebrate African American culture and history. It's also a time for people of all backgrounds to learn about African American history and reflect on the ongoing struggle for equality and justice. One popular part of the holiday is the Juneteenth flag, which symbolizes freedom and the promise of a better future. The flag is red, white, and blue, and there is a star in the center that represents Texas, where Juneteenth originated. Another part of the holiday is the reading of the Emancipation Proclamation. Juneteenth provides an opportunity for education and awareness about African American history. While Juneteenth is primarily an American holiday, it has gained recognition around the world. Many countries with significant African American expat communities, for example, like Canada and the United Kingdom, have started to observe Juneteenth. By learning about Juneteenth, people outside the United States can gain a deeper understanding of American history and the ongoing fight for civil rights in the United States. But Juneteenth is not just an American story. It really is a universal story, and we can all appreciate the progress made and recognize the work that still needs to be done to achieve true equality and justice for everyone. I hope you were able to understand most of the content in this episode. And don't forget, as always, there's a transcript available to help you with your understanding. You can find the link in the episode notes. I recommend that you listen again with the transcript to help with anything that wasn't clear. Again, I'm Christopher, and I want to invite you to join me in future episodes of English Please to hear about a variety of topics, all focused on helping you with your English. Subscribe now wherever you listen to podcasts, and let's embark on an adventure together in clear, understandable English. Again, sincere thanks for listening. See you soon.